Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my fails for the month of January. Yesterday I posted up my favorites, but I felt like I had too many favorites and too many fails to put them all into one video. This is like the first time I think this has ever happened, but I have tried so many things that I have really liked and then quite a few things that have not worked out for me. So I figured I would split up the video. You guys also know that I have been sick, and if I talk for too long, my voice still starts to give out on me. So I'm kind of trying to break it up a little bit. So thank you for bearing with me. But without further ado, these are all the things that I consider to be utter fails for several different reasons for the month of January 2019. The very first thing that I want to talk about is actually the thing that I was the most excited about. I was so hyped about this coming out. It is the new foundation from Hourglass. This is the Vanish Seamless Finish Liquid Foundation. Now, if you guys saw my review, I picked up several of the deluxe samples, and I thought that these were going to be so small that I was going to get one use out of them, but no, a little does go a long way. But I found this to be cakey some days. It worked the best the day that I actually reviewed it, but it's still just by the end of the day, it looked kind of cakey. I found this to be so inconsistent. I used it with so many different primers. I love the Vanish Stick Foundation. It's one of the only stick foundations that I really, really like, but I feel like I was completely let down by this foundation, and I've heard several other people say this, so it's kind of like, oh, thank goodness it's not just me, because I felt really bad because of how hyped you are. You know, like when you know you're going to like something and then it just, it lets you down. That's how I feel about this foundation. But hey, getting the deluxe samples saved me the money from actually having to buy the foundation and try it out. So there's that. There's the good and the bad. But I wouldn't suggest this to pretty much anybody unless you have normal skin. Even then, I don't know. I just think this is an utter pass. Too inconsistent. It caught on to things I didn't even realize was on my skin. And I feel like my skin is in pretty darn good condition right now. So that was just a huge, huge miss for me. Next up is a concealer from L'Oreal, and this is the Infallible Full Wear. The shade that I have is number 350 Bisque, and in case anybody was wondering what shade I used in the Hourglass, it was the shade Nude. But I bought this. I bought the foundation as well. I actually liked the foundation. I found that it wore pretty well on my skin. It wasn't too heavy. It was about medium to full coverage. I liked the foundation, especially for the price point. I thought it was really great. But this underneath my eyes was so incredibly drying. I tested this with my Becca Under Eye Anti-Fatigue Primer. I tested it again with my Tatcha Primer. I tested it alone. I tested it with my favorite powders. I don't like this. I think it is just so dry and crepey. I think that if you like really, really dry concealers, maybe this will be up your alley. It does have good coverage, but I could not handle how much I feel like it aged me underneath my eye. So this, again, a huge miss. Now this one is about to be returned. I hate this stuff. So I have so many questions and I have tried. I'm going to tell you all the things that I did. So first, let me tell you what this is. This is the Beauty Blender Redo Set and Refresh Spray. I was really excited about this because there's no alcohol in there. I was like, ooh, yes, finally, I'm going to try something new. And I'm going to insert the little video that I put on Instagram, and I also put it in my video of my last Get Ready With Me where I was trying out new products. This thing, the sprayer on it, is crazy. At first, it's like really light, but then it'll spray really hard, and then it kind of explodes on you. Like it just literally drips down the front of it. It just drips and it's disgusting. So what I decided to do was to see if it could possibly be just the sprayer on here. And yes, I have one of my empty MAC Fix Plus. It definitely works better in this. But I also said in that video that I didn't like the texture of this. I felt like it was too heavy, and I felt like it was almost like spraying a moisturizer on my face. Now, I tried the method like I do with my Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist, where I spray the bottom of my blender and I put it all over my face. There's just something about this that is too much for me. I don't like it. And I feel like it leaves just like a little bit of, I don't know, like a residue or something. So the nozzle on this is terrible. I've already gone into Sephora just to check it out to see if I wanted to reorder it or what I was going to do. The nozzle on that one was bad. Then again, I put it in this, dumped it in here, and then I dumped it back after testing it out. I don't like the formula. I don't like the sprayer. I feel like you're going to be hit and miss with the sprayer. So I've heard some people have no issues. That's awesome. If you like the stuff, that's great too, but it just doesn't work for me. I'm combo skin, and I just feel like it's too heavy. It even looks heavy in here. So I was just disappointed in this product all the way around, from the nozzle and the actual way it makes my skin feel on top of that. These two products I no longer have. I had to write them down so I didn't forget them, but I do have pictures. So these are the new Stila mystery eyeshadow. So I only picked up two because I wanted to test them out first. The pictures were confusing, and then I don't think I saw swatches until after the fact that I already purchased them. But the shades I got were Hypnotic and Spellbound. So when I first got these, I got them out, and I want to say it was like 50 degrees outside that day and around there. So it was kind of cool, and I swatched them and they were very patchy. So I was like, you know what, let me let them get to room temperature. This is very unlike Stila. I love Stila shadows. I love their glitter and glow, and I really love their shimmer and glow because they're just so smooth and pigmented and they don't end up on your face at all. Like, I just love them. So I was really excited about these because they're supposed to have like several different shifts to them. And I waited, got it to room temperature, and I swatched them and they were still patchy. I was like, what is going on with this? And then I swatched it again at nighttime when you have like very low light, and then I was like, oh no, it's better, it's better. So I tried it on my eyes, and when I tell you, it burned my eyes and it flaked off like nobody's business. I was like, what is going on? And it was actually the day that I was returning these because I was going to do a video doing one look with each of the ones that I got so you guys could see it. And I was like, I'm not putting these back on my eyes because it stung so bad and they were so patchy. I was like, over it. So I'm going over to Kelsey's house. I have my little bag. I'm taking these things back. She has them on her eyes. I was like, Kelsey, have you noticed that those are patchy? She's like, no, not yet. So she was very, very nice to me. And I've got pictures of her wearing them throughout the day and how patchy they actually got. So she was wearing the shade Hypnotic, and it's just completely gone from her lids. And that's exactly what happened to me too. And I've never had that happen with any of my Stila shadows. I was like, what is this? What is going on? It was a mess. So I don't know if it's just those two shades or the whole line, but for me, Hypnotic and Spellbound, I wouldn't even suggest them. Like, when you're swatching them, especially if you're in dull lighting where you're not going to see the patchiness, yeah, you might end up being tempted to buy it, but it's like once you actually use them and then you're out in the daylight or wear them all day, or if you're like me and they sting your eyes, yeah, you're going to get past that first initial ooh and ah real quick. I tested out 3 brand new Physician formula, the Healthy Eyeshadow Quads. And from what I understand, these have been redone. I know Canyon Classic was one that was permanent already, but I think these are reformulated. So I have 3. This one did work out for me the most out of the 3 that I used, and it was the Smoky Bronze. It's not a favorite, but it's not a fail. This one was mediocre to me, and I believe I did an update on this. I'm just leading up to this one. This is Rose Nude, so just kind of mediocre, but this one is terrible. Like, absolutely terrible. I never tried the original, so I can't do a comparison for you. I couldn't tell you whether or not the first one was amazing and now this one sucks. But Canyon Classic, I was feeling this because I really like the cool tones, and I forgot to actually mention, this one came with my shadows out. These two right here were completely out of the pan, and I had to, not out of the pan, but out of the component, and I had to glue them back in. No problem, no big deal, they weren't broken, so I was like, whatever. Well, I use these on my eyes, and this gray shade, other than like it stayed in my crease, which okay, but it did not stay on my lid. Like it came off of my lid. These two shades are so close. This one, I am a light skin tone and I really could not see it on my eyes at all. I just feel like this, if you're gonna pick out any of them, don't pick this one. The bronze one definitely worked the best, and there was an amethyst one that apparently was not on Ulta. I wanted to try that one out, but I didn't get a chance. All I gotta tell you is skip over this one. This one's not gonna do anybody any favors. I hated this palette. It was dusty, it didn't attach well, and yeah, just pass over it. Now, I know I have updated you guys on the new Dior Forever foundations. There's one that's the matte version, and then there's the glow version. I am not going to call the matte version a fail. I did have a skin reaction to these after using them both consecutively, so I'm not sure which one made my skin like it burned. It was so bad, it burned. I kept makeup off my face and just used oil and masks for a few days. But the glow version of this, I have to say, is a fail, even if it didn't make my skin feel the pain that it felt. I feel like it just felt so heavy on my skin. I feel like it kind of looked good like on camera and stuff, but by the end of the day, it was kind of cakey. It did wear well, like it stayed in place. I got shiny, but I just did not like the way it felt and the way it looked on my skin. I just feel like it looked heavy, and I used a thin layer. I definitely don't suggest trying to layer this up. I didn't like it at all. So the matte version, if I was going to take the glow version back because I didn't like the way it felt on my skin, but I was planning on keeping the matte one. But after I had this burning sensation after using them, I was like, you know what? We're just not going to risk that because I don't play with my skin. So I'm not sure if it's the alcohol content and if it was higher. I've never had any issues with any Dior foundations. I've tried the original Forever. Star used to be my absolute favorite. I love the Backstage foundation. I love the Undercover foundation. So I'm not sure what's up with these, but yeah, we didn't get along. The next product is something I specifically drove an hour and a half to Nordstrom to get. I don't leave my house very often, mind you, but I wanted this palette, and I'm so glad that I didn't order it and I waited to see it in person because it's a hot mess. It is the YSL Shimmer Rush Face Palette. I believe this is for spring. Packaging, oh my gosh, like I almost wanted to get it just for the packaging. It was so pretty, but this is supposed to be a Shimmer Rush face palette. So I'm thinking radiance, it's gonna add something to my skin. When I tell you this is one of the chalkiest, whitest powders I've ever touched, and I even put some on my face, like it just disappears. I don't understand what the premise behind this was other than a chalky white powder and no shimmer. There's no, not even as much as a little bit of radiance, a little bit of shine. And you guys know how I feel about my radiant powders, and it was not even one of those matte radiance. It was nothing but chalk. I was like, what is this? I was so disappointed in it. So in case you were thinking about picking it up like I was, watch out. It's not worth the money. I definitely would skip on it unless you just want that packaging, which I can't even say that I blame you because it's beautiful packaging. But the product inside is terrible. I don't know what they did. I have no idea. It's like just, I don't know. All I can think about is talc and chalk. That's it. And then I have one last product to share with you guys. I've tried this again and I still feel the same. I knew I was going to. I only picked this up because I picked up the palette, which I absolutely love. But this is from ColourPop. And it is the Luxe, give me some lip, it says Luxe lipstick, but it's the Blur, Velvet Blur lipstick, and it's the shade Hey Mr. DJ. The shade is pretty. It's the formula that I don't like. It reminds me so much of the MAC Powder Kiss. I could not spit that out earlier when I was talking about it in the review. It is so much like that. You have to build this up, and you can definitely build it up. If you wear this as a blur, I feel like it dries out your lips, and it definitely emphasizes the lines and everything. And when you build it up, I feel like it moves around. Like it doesn't stick like a velvet. Like when you think of velvet blur, I think of something velvety kind of matte and that is just going to look velvety. I don't know. And that's just not what this is. Like if I swatch this one time and then versus building it up, there's a pretty big difference there. And I'm telling you, it just moves. They move around so much. I don't know. I just don't like it at all. I don't like the texture of it. It feels kind of waxy to me. Just not into it. I'm glad I only purchased one. I like the color, but like, can you see? Like even with it blended out, which would make it even more matte because you're taking away some of the top layer, you're taking away the pigment, it still has a sheen to it. Like, that should not be there. Look, I don't like it. Look. All right, you guys, that is it for the fails for the month of January. Let me know down below what you are not liking this month. And if you're curious about the things that I absolutely love this month, because there were so many. There were so many things that I was like, yes! If you're curious about that, just check that out. I will leave it linked down below. It was put up yesterday. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.